Hello everyone, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whoever sees this. I wanted to make another commentary about why I am an atheist. I know for a lot of people that have known me in the past that I was really involved in Christianity. I was a believer, and so people that see me now might be wondering why, or I guess how I became an atheist. So I guess it'd be a good idea to share why that is. But first I want to start with some background. So I grew up in a home where religion wasn't a huge deal. We weren't necessarily forced to go to church, and then even when we did, it wasn't like your traditional black church, with all the shouting and all the carrying on and such. It was a Catholic church, so I went to a Catholic school growing up. And a lot of the things we did was, they were more so cultural than they were spiritual. So for example, we'd say a grace before our meals, and it was a sort of a regimented grace. Bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts. Some of you have probably, the rest of that. But it was more of a cultural thing. So it wasn't until I got to college that I started to see a different side of things. I started to see more people that believed in God and were they call it on fire for God. So there was a gospel group that I took to very easily because I played music, and I'd never played in church before, but because I could play music and they needed a musician, and I was at this point where I'm ready to soak up knowledge and learn and all this stuff. So I joined up, and I ended up becoming the director of that group. I also ended up playing for the local church, the local AME church. So I got to, in a sense, experience the black church culture from sort of the outside looking in, if that makes any sense. I mean, I wasn't raised in it, but I got to see what it's like. And for all intents and purposes, at that point in time, I believed in God. I would, my songs, when I'd sing songs and play songs, and when I'd pray, I really meant it. I mean, I really believed that there was a God. So people try to tell me now, you never really believed, you never were a true Christian. No, I was a true Christian. I did believe. Fast forward till after college, I got married. And as a Christian, I got married. And a couple years in, I came across, one of my favorite shows is South Park, and there was an episode of South Park talking about Scientology. And those of you who've seen the episode, you'd see at the bottom of the screen when they start explaining this whole ridiculous belief of Scientology about how Xenu, DC-8s, and like volcanoes and souls and thetans, all this stuff they were talking about, and then at the bottom of the screen it says, this is what Scientologists actually believe. And I said, that can't be true. People don't really believe this crap, right? So I did what anybody would do. I started researching. I looked it up, Googled it, and my mind was absolutely blown. Okay. Not only did these people believe it, there is this whole sort of conspiracy, if you will. There's like this cover up. They don't want you talking to anybody. It's like a cult. It's basically a cult. It's all about money. They recruit superstars like Tom Cruise, John Travolta. That's how they sustain themselves. So essentially, when I realized that that's what they were all about. And then I started to question. I started to ask questions like, well, how is this any different from the religion that I believe in? And I started to research that. And that is when the decline started taking place. I mean, it took a period of months. I was really researching, trying to, get my questions answered. And the more questions I had and the more answers I found, I started to slowly lose my belief. And really the way it happened is that, I said, well, I didn't want to lose it. I didn't start with the intent of being a non-believer. I just wanted to know. So I started reading the Bible. And let me tell you, I got to, really in Genesis. It starts there. We start reading Genesis and you start realizing this doesn't make any scientific sense. This doesn't make any moral sense. At that point was when I didn't know what an atheist was. I didn't know really what I was. I just knew I can't be a Christian. I can't believe the Bible anymore. Like, if there is a God out there, this can't be it. This can't be the one in the Bible. It just can't. And really for a little while after that, I was kind of scared to let go of my belief in a God until I, one day I asked God to, if you're real, prove it. And I was serious. I asked God to show himself in a way that would prove demonstrable to me, then in a way that I could understand, not this whole vague, oh, God will send a sign or God will, stuff like that. I wanted a tangible, something that's with evidence, something that I could hold on to. And I said, hey, God, if you're there, do this and I'll believe in you. I'll trust you. So didn't happen. And from that point on, it was, I think December 17th of 2009, I think. I don't know the exact date. I think that was it. But from that point on, I found out that I was an atheist. So, now since then, I've gone into different debates with people. I've talked it out. I've listened to all the arguments, and I've, lost some friends, whatever. But because they thought that I was being offensive, when really the only thing that's really offensive is that I don't share the same beliefs as you. I don't want to be rude, but I just don't share the beliefs as you. So I'm going to question. And when people get cornered, they get angry. So, really, at this point, yeah, I'm an atheist. And I to define what that really means, I'm not saying that there is not a God. That's not what I'm saying. Because I don't know for sure. No one can say they, in all honesty, knows for sure. But if there is a God out there, show me some evidence. That's it. If there is a God that exists, then there should be some tangible evidence that we can point to. So far, nothing's out there. So if you really want me to believe again, or if you really are thinking that you're going to change my opinion, okay, present some scientific, some empirical evidence that this God is real. And I'll jump right on board. Until then, it hasn't happened in how many years? It ain't happening. I don't see it happening. So, but that's it. Just wanted to talk a little bit about that and put my thoughts out there for any of you guys who are, especially black atheists, who are still in a closet, or still have that, or living in places where an atheist is basically like a curse word. Ask the questions, and don't be satisfied with the non-answers that you get from your pastor or from the Bible. Expand that, and you'll find that there's no way that any sane person can believe in something so insane. So But anywho, that's what I wanted to talk about today. And, you know, I'll be putting up more videos as I think of them. So thanks for watching. You can like, comment, subscribe, share, all that. So take it easy.